It's easier for me to just read this description so I get it correct. The National Organization of Rare Disorders describes Duane syndrome as an eye movement disorder present at birth, characterized by horizontal eye movement limitation, a limited ability to move the eye inward toward the nose, outward toward the ear, or in both directions. Duane syndrome, I have that. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Well, welcome to my kitchen. We're just talking today. I'm not doing a makeup demo or a hair tutorial. I am just talking about something that I have called Duane syndrome. It affects my left eye, and basically the symptoms are simply that my left eye will not turn outward. It will turn inward, it will turn up, it will look down, but this is what happens when I look left. Okay. That's it. That's what it is. I was born with it. I didn't even know I had it or that there was anything unusual about my eye until I was actually 14 years old. I had my annual eye exam, and the eye doctor told me, he did just the finger, you know, where they pass the finger in front of your eyes and you've got to follow the finger. And I wasn't able to do it. And he kept going like this, and I wasn't able to do it with both eyes. And he stopped and he said, "Oh, you have Duane syndrome." I was 14. I didn't know what he was talking about. And it was sort of like, okay, so now what? And that was all he said. You have Duane syndrome. My mother was in the waiting room. My mother was the queen of denial. And she said, "How did the exam go?" And I said, "Well, he told me I have something called Duane syndrome." Her reaction was, "No, you don't. There's nothing wrong with your eye." And that was about it. Here's my motivation for making this video. Once I decided that I wanted to do a makeup tutorial, the first one that I did, I was experimenting with makeup and I was comparing e.l.f. and Estee Lauder. And as I was putting on the makeup and I'm looking into my camera to do it, I didn't even realize until I was in the editing process and I looked back and I thought, oh, it shows. It was a rude awakening to me that while I was doing a makeup tutorial and having fun doing it, number one, I was having a harder time when I leaned into the camera to try and do it with, I forget which eye, probably my left eye looking at my right eye. And so that was frustrating. It was disappointing because I thought, oh, maybe I can't, maybe I'm not going to be able to do makeup tutorials. And when I looked back in the editing process, of course I saw it in certain places, but suddenly it occurred to me, so what? So my left eye doesn't track with my right eye. And I thought, well, maybe I need to explain this in a future video. But I didn't know quite how to approach it. Then I did a second tutorial. Since then, 2 other makeup tutorials. One of them was specifically eyeshadows. And I knew perfectly well by that time that my eye was going to, it was going to show up in the camera that my eye was occasionally not going to track with my other eye. Each time I did it, I thought, well, maybe I need to explain this. I need to say why, because people are looking at my eyes as I'm doing a freaking eyeshadow tutorial. It's obvious. I finally decided, because of this epiphany that I had, that it's okay. It's just what my eye does. And if I want to do eyeshadow tutorials, I'm going to do eyeshadow tutorials. I like my eyes. There are 3 types of Duane syndrome. Type 1, which is what I have, Type 2, and Type 3. I'm not going to get into any medical description because I am no expert. And what I have is Type 1, and that's all I know firsthand. Every time I've been diagnosed by an optometrist or an ophthalmologist, they simply told me, "Oh, you have Duane syndrome type 1. there's really nothing that can be done about it. I've heard that now there are surgeries, but honestly, I don't want surgery on my eyes when I do fine with what I have. I'm sure there are cases where surgery is indicated, but not in mine, and I'm talking about my situation today. While searching the internet, I found a group that is for Duane Syndrome, and I joined it. It's nice to have a community of people who also have something that you don't ever really talk to anybody about because nobody else has it. It seems to be primarily parents of children who've been diagnosed with Duane Syndrome. And they, of course, don't know it firsthand. And any parent, understandably, is going to be concerned, alarmed, if their child has been diagnosed with something, let alone with their eyes and a rare disorder. I saw a lot of concern. Very often, those kids had type 1, like I have. I don't want to discredit the fact that, of course, a parent is concerned about their child, but as I described in my case, I didn't even know I had it. My mother didn't even know I had it. So it was kind of a non-issue when I was going to school. I do remember one instance when I was in 8th grade, I think, and I turned around to talk to the girl behind me in the desk behind me. And when I turned, I was looking at her like that, and she said, "What's wrong with your eye?" And I said, "What? What do you mean?" And she said, "Your left eye, it looks smaller than your right eye." So what happened was when I looked, because when I look that way, this eye retracts, it like recedes a little bit. But other than that, it's, I don't think it's real obvious. Over the years, I have never been bullied. I was not bullied in school. It was never brought up, other than occasionally somebody would mention that your left eye looks a little smaller than your right eye. Is it okay? And I would just shrug it off. I'd just say, yeah, my eye's fine. And then that was it. They would drop it. I would drop it. It wasn't an issue. 10% of patients show familial pattern running in families. It's not progressive, so it doesn't get better or worse. Most people with Duane syndrome don't need treatment because they can compensate by turning their head. So that's what I do. There are a couple of issues where, I wouldn't call them issues, but instances where I do have to be more prepared. When I drive out of my neighborhood, there is a sharp left turn that kind of almost goes back. And so I have to turn my head. Here in a minute. Let me see if I can show you. When I'm looking like this, I either my eye crosses, or what I more typically do is I close that eye and then I don't see double, because otherwise that's not good. I don't want to have double vision. So that's one instance where it's more difficult when I'm looking in my blind spot in my car or making a turn like that where I really have to turn and look to my left. And the other situation that is bothersome is when I'm riding my bicycle. I have to have a decent, secure mirror on the left handlebar, so that when I'm looking behind me at the traffic, I first can look at that mirror down there and get an idea of how close or far away cars may be behind me. Because if I have to suddenly turn and look left, I'm compromised. I need to be conscious of things like that. I saw posts with people saying, what should I tell my child when they're about to go to kindergarten about if somebody bullies them? If it's like what I have, type 1, don't even put ideas like that in their heads. That could create anxiety that they don't have to have. I, fortunately, thank you, my mom, the queen of denial, I didn't even know I had it. And other than, like I said, people occasionally over the years saying, is something going on with your eye? If your kids talk to you about that, try to be as matter of fact as you can and just tell them to say, oh, no, there's nothing wrong with my eye. And then get on with whatever it is they're doing, playing with their friends, whatever. That's all I really wanted to talk about. I just wanted to address Duane syndrome, type 1, what I have, and talk about what it is and my experience firsthand living with it since I was born, maybe to help somebody out, whether you're an adult or a child or a parent of a child who has Duane syndrome. Maybe my video will help you a little bit. So that's my video about my Duane syndrome, type 1. I was born with it. My cat is meowing because she wants her wet food now. And I think I've talked long enough. I'm losing my light. If you have any comments or questions for me, please, only about my experience. I don't have any medical training whatsoever. All I know is this is my experience firsthand. I was born with it. I live with it. It's not a big deal. I will link below the National Organization of Rare Disorders website. It credits several doctors for the information. I'll put all of that information below in the description. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. That would be great if you subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. What word am I thinking of? The National The National Disorganization. Now that would be me. The National National Disorder. Not National Disorder. National Organization. Get it right.